everybody, and welcome to today's video. So today's video, we are of course doing another school project. This time it's a discussion that I've got to do for class. We are still in the film criticism class, so this is going to be a discussion about a film that I watched, and then the requirements are to complete the discussion board. You need to post a video of you ranking the film in relation to the 6 films listed below. You must state which pair of films from the 1.1 assignment this film belongs to and why you think so. So we're also going to go over the 6 pairs real quick before we get into my thoughts. And those are Pair A, Harold and Maude from 1971, and Guess Who's Coming for Dinner, 1967. Pair B is Cool Hand Luke from 1967, Dead Poets Society from 1989. Pair C is Pretty Woman from 1990, and A Knight's Tale from 2001. So the film that I had to watch was Crazy Rich Asians, and what my teacher is wanting me to do is state which pair of the films that I just listed off does it belong to as far as archetypes go. So I made the lovely list of everything that we're going to talk about today. And so the first thing I want to talk about is the character archetypes, because I feel like that kind of matters, especially in this film, because there is a huge blend. There's not just any like one type, which there usually isn't in films, but I feel like this time that really kind of makes a difference as to where I'm putting this film at. So the first thing is we're going to talk about Rachel Chu, which she is the main protagonist in this, and I feel as though she is a hopeless romantic because she is very much in love with Nick. She goes on this trip with him, which, you know, she lives in New York. She's from New York, and most people, when you're dating somebody, and if their family lives across the world, traveling there to meet them is kind of a big thing. So obviously she's very much in love with Nick. And that's to go without like knowing about his money. Like, she didn't know about his family being rich at all. And I'm kind of with her on like, well, you could have told me. I also see her as an innocent, because of the not having an idea about how rich his family was. And she just wanted their acceptance. She just wanted them to like her for who she is. Like, I honestly don't think she thought that being American, you know, Chinese American, I don't think she thought that was going to be a problem. So she's very innocent in this. And she's also a hero. And for me, she is her own hero. She is the one who changes the mind of Nick's mother, Eleanor. You never really see if she changes Grandma's mind, but she does change Eleanor's, because Eleanor kind of, in a way, says that, okay, I accept you, and that's because when Nick gives, you know, Rachel the ring later on that Eleanor was given when she got married. So, we have that. So I think she is a hopeless romantic, an innocent, and a hero. We also see some others in this film that I'd like to go over. Oliver and Peaklin are like mentor, sidekick, ally type thing. You also have Astrid and Charlie and Arminta, I think. Arminta. They're kind of allies to Rachel as well. Like, you see them right off the bat where they kind of really like take to her and want to help her out. So that, you know, I think they're allies for her. The antagonists and the bosses the main one is Eleanor. She is Nick's mom. She is the one who from the get-go says that I don't like you. I don't want him to marry you. You're going to take him from me because you live in New York. Like, she has a very big problem with that from the beginning. And I think, honestly, she's the reason why Grandma doesn't like Rachel. But, I mean, you hear about Grandma, but you don't hear about her a lot. So, but, you know, Grandma is in on the whole don't be with her type thing. So I would say Eleanor is an antagonist and a boss. And then Grandma is kind of more just an antagonist, just, not necessarily the best person. I don't see her really being the main boss that Rachel has to fight. And I will also kind of get into something else that kind of goes with that here after a bit. We also see a Joker type. That is mainly in Nick's friends, in the other Asian girls. So, like the scene where Rachel finds the fish in the hotel room. That's like, it's a cruel joke. It's a joke, but they're being mean. So you have the Joker type in there as well, but it's a mean Joker. So you could also link them in with the antagonist part, I guess. They just don't have a big part in that area. So now that we've kind of gone over the character archetypes, I want to get into where I think this film sits with the 3 different pairs that I have. So the main pair that I think that this film should go with is pair C. Pair C was Pretty Woman from 1990 and A Knight's Tale from 2001. And the reason why I'm going to pick that is because from the beginning, this film clearly states that they see Rachel as a poor little girl from America. They also look up her mom's backstory and everything, find out she's not from a rich family. Rachel's father and the guy who her mom was married to when she left China were not rich, so Rachel's looked at as this poor little American Chinese girl. And Nick is rich, from a rich family, and that causes me to see the rags to riches part with pair C. And that's where I think the main story archetype comes from. But I think there's also a couple of other story archetypes, and then I also have a couple of reasons why I think this film could relate to the other 2 pairs that I'm going to get into as well. So first we're going to finish with my other story archetypes. I feel that this film also goes with a hero's journey. Like I said, Rachel is her own hero. She paves her own way, changes, Eleanor's mind herself. So I think Rachel also has the hero journey, which is where she goes to Singapore, she faces trials, but she has mentors to also kind of get through those trials, and then she ends up getting more confident in the end, and she lets herself shine, and she changes, of course, Eleanor's mind, like I said. So she has a hero's journey. She also has a tragedy in with that, and that tragedy is that Eleanor and Grandma pretty well break her and Nick up for like a day or 2. It doesn't really kind of say how long they were like split apart from each other, but they were in my mind, I would say that they were split. I would say like we parted ways. She obviously, in the film it says she made the decision for him, so he didn't have to make it himself on her or family, and so they kind of split. So there's a tragedy about that. And then also Rachel finds out about her real father. She was told that her father died when she, before she was born, which wasn't true. And then you find out, why her mom hid it, what actually happened. And it's kind of, I really understand it. My family had a similar situation, I'm not going to completely discuss who it was, but one of my family members picked up the kids and left because she was getting beat by her husband. And then she was technically married to him until she found her person years down the road and decided to marry that one. So I can understand that. But that's still, it can be considered a tragedy. So the last one that I have is overcoming a monster. And that is where I think that Eleanor and Grandma are monsters. And Eleanor is the bigger monster, but Grandma still plays a pretty good part in kind of breaking Rachel and Nick up there for a hot minute. So you have that. And then you also have all of the other Asian girls where they were playing those mean tricks on poor little Rachel. Those you can kind of count as monsters as well, in my opinion. So you can link them in with the monster part of it as well. But Rachel has an overcoming a monster thing going on in this movie. And she overcomes it very well, I think, in my opinion. So, overall, I think that this film really belongs to Pair C, Pretty Woman, and A Knight's Tale. But I do have 2 reasons why, well, we'll go with, I have 1 reason per other pair why this movie could be linked to those. So the first thing is, there is a very traditional patriarchal value into this love story. And when you're looking at the other pairs, you also have Harold and Maude and Guess Who's Coming for Dinner in pair A that kind of have a little bit of a love story in there, as well as there are some very big traditional values and things that are in those movies. Like, you've got Guess Who's Coming for Dinner. Okay, well, it's a racial thing where whites marry whites and black marry black. That was very traditional at the point in time, and that's why there's this whole big problem in that movie of, well, you're not fit to marry so-and-so. You literally have that same thing happening in Crazy Rich Asians, where grandma and mom are like, well, you know, she's Chinese American and she's poor, like, you can't marry her, like, you can't be with her. They have a traditional core value, and it's patriarchal value, that says that they don't want Nick marrying or being with Rachel because of their beliefs. So I think that this film could also be linked to pair A as well because of that reason. Then you have pair B, which is Cool Hand Luke and Dead Poet Society. This is the fun one where I even go as far as thinking of Rachel as an outcast. And she is. She's told she's not good enough. She's told that you're not one of us. Just because you were born in America to a poor family, you're not one of us. Well, no, because her mom even explains it where you look, you know, face and everything. She kind of points to a couple of different things of Rachel where she's like, well, you look like one of them. But they know that you're not. They know that you were born here. They know that you're, you know, they're going to know you're from a poorer family. Like, you're not one of them. So, she is technically an outcast. And that is where Cool Hand Luke and Dead Poet Society come in, to where there's this whole outcast type thing. And they try to overcome that whole point. And, you know, so that kind of creates the fact of, I think that this movie could also go in with those as well. But when you look at the overall picture of this movie, everything that happens, I think it really more so goes towards the rags to riches part, because Rachel in the end ends up getting proposed to by Nick. Mom agrees. If I remember right, we don't find out if Grandma agrees, but Mom agrees, and then everything ends up all happy and perfectly fine. That is your classic rags to riches love story. So I think that that's the big part, the big point, and the big archetype is that there's rags to riches in there, because now Rachel's going to marry into a rich family, and she's going to end up rich herself. But, I mean, she's going to make her own money. Like, obviously, you can get that from the movie where she doesn't care about the fact that they're rich. That doesn't matter to her. She just wished she would have known and kind of been a little more prepared. But that is what I think. I think that this movie could be put into all 3, but the main one is pair C. It goes with Pretty Woman and Knight's Tale because of the rags to riches and the love story part of it. But okay, so do this since it's going on YouTube. So that is my thought on Crazy Rich Asians and which one of these pairs that it goes into. If you have a different thought, or you think that it does more so go into one of the other 2 categories or pairs, let me know. I'd like to know which one you think it goes into better, and I'd like to know your reasons why. But yeah, so this has been our video for this week, and I hope you guys liked it and like my thoughts, and I will see you in the next one whenever I make it. Bye.